Joseph has every reason and every ounce of authority to unleash brutal revenge in a single heartbeat. Yet instead of choosing punishment, he steps onto a harder road, a test meant to strike the buried
You are
conscience
nothing
awake.
but spies.
This isn't just a story about power, it's how God turns bleeding wounds into a mission of rescue. Stay until the end, because Joseph's choice will show you what it looks like to face the shadows of your past when you're already standing at the peak of success. A desert wind sweeps across Canaan, carrying the smell of cracked earth and scorched straw. The golden fields are gone. Only brittle stubble remains, and in the night, you can hear children crying from hunger. Inside an old tent, Jacob stares at empty storage jars and the hollow eyes of his family. He understands the hard truth. If they don't find food, the whole household will not survive this famine. Then the rumor spreads like wildfire. Down south in Egypt, there is grain. Storehouses rise like fortresses there, guarded and controlled by powerful officials. Jacob gathers his sons. His voice is rough with worry, but steady like stone.
Go down there and buy grain.
10 brothers leave. Only Benjamin stays behind the youngest, Rachel's last son. It isn't only favoritism. Jacob's heart has been shattered once before, and he cannot bear to watch loss repeat itself. They walk out of Canaan with dust caked on their robes and the salty bite of leather packs on their shoulders. Every step drags an old memory behind it, a bright, many-colored coat, a deep, dark pit, a desperate voice swallowed by the wild hills. They travel in silence because sins left unnamed become quiet ghosts, and ghosts follow you. Egypt finally appears to be the opposite world from the dry hills they left behind. Moist air rises off the Nile, cold with mud and reeds, mixed with the smell of crowded markets. People from every land press in, eyes red from hunger, arms clutched around silver and sacks. At the gates of the massive granaries, shouts and footsteps crash together. Guards bark orders like invisible lashes. Here, food is life, and life is absolute power. And Joseph stands at the top of that power, higher than the abandoned teenage boy could ever imagine. Once sold, chained, and forgotten, he now holds the lifeline of an entire kingdom. The scent of new grain fills the air. Papyrus, ink, and sealing wax mark every decision he makes. Yet one wound has never fully closed: betrayal. It sits deep inside him, quiet and sharp until the day familiar faces suddenly appear in front of him. 10 men bow before Joseph. They bow like they're honoring a ruler, but they also bow like they're kneeling to fate itself. Joseph recognizes them instantly. Memory hits like sand thrown into his eyes. He remembers his childhood dreams, and now they are kneeling inside that dream, right where he once saw them. But instead of triumph, pain floods his chest. God's dream has come true, and the human wound still bleeds. Joseph does not reveal himself. He speaks through an interpreter, his voice cold and precise.
You are spies. You have come to see where the land is weak.
The words slice through them. They panic and protest. They claim they are honest men, sons of one father in Canaan. They say a youngest brother is with their father, and then they add, almost choking on it,
One brother is no more.
That last line squeezes Joseph's heart like a fist. Still, he refuses to let his face betray him. He is not only looking at them, but he is looking for what remains inside them: conscience, brotherhood, or only survival. So he tests them. He orders them into custody for 3 days. In the darkness of the prison, chains scrape stone. Damp air clings to skin. Fear has its own smell. And maybe in those nights, they hear again the sound of the boy they left behind, Joseph's voice, begging, fading, and then gone. On the 3rd day, Joseph changes his tone. It sounds like a door opening, but a bolt still holds.
If you are honest men, let one of you remain in prison. The rest of you can take grain back to your starving households. But bring your youngest brother to me, so your words can be proven true.
The brothers look at each other. No one speaks loudly, but guilt breaks out on its own.
We are guilty concerning our brother.
Reuben reminds them of what he said long ago.
Don't hurt the boy.
and Joseph hears everything. He turns away. No one sees the tears, but inside his throat, the old pain becomes a new pain for what they were, and pain because now at last they are beginning to see it. Joseph turns back and he orders Simeon seized and bound in front of them. The rope tightens around Simeon's wrists like a message carved into flesh. The past comes due. The other 9 must return to Canaan with grain and with a terrifying condition. They must bring Benjamin back to Egypt. But Joseph does one more thing. He commands his servants to fill their sacks with grain and quietly return each man's silver into the mouth of his sack. Not to destroy them, but to test them. When silver appears again, what will they choose this time? Run, blame someone else, or come back and face the truth? The road home is long and dry. Dust rises in choking waves. Wind whistles through rock cracks like the desert is sighing. That night they stop to rest. One man opens a sack to feed his donkey. Firelight flickers over the grain, then catches a cold shine. Silver. Their hearts drop. They tear open the other sacks. Every single one has silver hidden inside. Fear spreads like poison. Now they imagine a trap, a false accusation, soldiers chasing them down, slavery because the money came back. Trembling, they whisper the same question into the dark: what has happened to us? As if an invisible hand is tightening around them. When they reach Canaan, they tell Jacob everything. They were called spies. They were in prison. Simeon was held back. They must bring Benjamin to Egypt. And then the final blow, each man's silver has returned in his sack. Jacob's face drains of color. He clutches loss like an injury that never had time to dry. Joseph is gone. Simeon is now bound in a foreign land, and they want to take Benjamin too. The cry tears out of him, raw and broken.
You have bereaved me of my children.
To Jacob, Benjamin is not only the youngest, he is the last living piece of Rachel still beside him. The sons plead, they explain. They search for words strong enough to persuade a grieving father, but Jacob refuses. Some pain convinces a person that holding tighter is love. Even when God sometimes guides us by forcing our hands to open. Night settles over the camp. Wind moves through the tent cloth, dry grain rustles in the sacks, and one question hangs over the whole family. If they do not go back to Egypt, they will starve. But if they go, they might lose Benjamin. The famine isn't only taking food, it is forcing hearts to face what they buried. Back in Egypt, Joseph stands alone among overflowing storehouses. Torchlight paints the stone walls with moving shadows, like memory itself is breathing. He has the power to take revenge. Yet God is leading him down a different road, a road of testing that can heal, restore, and rebuild what was shattered. Joseph not only wants to see Benjamin, he needs to know, are these men still the same brothers who sold him, or have they changed? And that is the deeper meaning of the story. God is not only saving a family from hunger, He is pulling them out of sin and deception, teaching them how to live upright again. When food runs out, hearts are exposed. When power changes hands, conscience wakes up. It is never too late to turn back, but there always comes a moment when you must answer, will you face it or will you run? In the next episode, as the famine tightens its grip, Jacob will be forced into a decision. And when Benjamin finally steps onto Egyptian soil, Joseph will raise the test even higher. One silver cup and one choice that could change the fate of the entire household. Like and subscribe so you don't miss the next Bible story.